Today I want to talk to you about something that is probably more controversial than pineapple on a pizza. Why your 9-to-5 job is keeping you away from becoming a millionaire. When I say that, obviously that doesn't mean that if you work a 9-to-5 you can never become a millionaire. A lot of people actually will get there eventually. It just takes many more years and efforts, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why I think that way. Now, first off, to put things into perspective, myself, I'm actually in a 9-to-5, right? Right now, I'm still employed. That's my main income, despite, the various other income sources that I'm having. But my biggest chunk of income on a monthly basis is still my 9-to-5. Now, with that 9-to-5, I was lucky enough to buy a bit of real estate, have quite a number of different investments. So I've been very lucky and obviously have a significant income, which I'm really grateful for. Though, having said that, at the same time, I have not yet reached the millionaire status. I'm on my way there, and if I kept going on my 9-to-5, I will most likely get there. It's just a question of time. But I think there are much better ways to get there faster and to take ownership and live the life you fully want. So that's why I think it's a really important video. For some of you, those points might be absolutely irrelevant. You might be in a job that you absolutely love. It pays all your bills. You can have enough time that you want after work. You can switch off because basically, you paid for 9-to-5 and that's what you have to do. And on the other hand, you might be employed by a large tech company. You might be making 7 figures, right? Let's not forget the CEO of Apple or Google. They're employees, right? They're technically on a 9-to-5. So there are, of course, a lot of reasons also to be employed. But obviously, in this video, I want to focus on some of the reasons why building your own empire can be so much more powerful. Now, the first point is the limited income potential. Now, when I say that, what I mean is whatever company you work at, you will never make more than the boss. Now, that's obviously designed because the boss, the owner of the company, gets paid for taking the risk, for having the vision and executing against it. And that's totally fine. And as I said, you can still make a very good living, but essentially, there's going to be a cap. And I'm not talking about the base cap, but the cap to your income potential. Now, a lot of people, what they do after a few years in the job, when they've been promoted and kind of reached one of the highest levels that they could possibly go, eventually, when they see no further growth in the company, you change the company, go to another company, or eventually you change the industry, go to another industry. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with it. Actually, that's what I've been doing most of my life. And so far, it's been really treating me pretty well, actually. I can't complain about it. But now I'm definitely getting to a level when you reach the higher part of the pyramid, it's definitely harder to find the next step that elevates your income levels. Because in the beginning, any job you do, boom, you get immediately a promotion, you get high salary, etc. But the higher you get, it definitely gets more challenging, right? There's only so many different CEO roles for different positions around the world. And so, yeah, it can be a bit more challenging for sure. Versus if you have your own business, there's definitely no cap. Now, granted, at the same time, you might also lose everything and go bust. That's definitely a real risk. But on the other hand, there's no ceiling on as to how much you can earn, right? Really, if you can dream it and make it happen, sky's the limit, right? All of those big companies that we know, they started with nothing, where the owner earned hardly anything, and eventually they scaled up to almost infinity, to millions, billions of dollars businesses, which you can't do in your 9-to-5. So that's something definitely to keep in mind that is holding you back from reaching the millionaire status, maybe faster. Not it's impossible to reach, but it can definitely expedite the process to get there faster. Did you know that in the US, apparently over 60% of employees live paycheck to paycheck? I mean, for me, that's mind-boggling, right? In the country where you can go from dishwasher to millionaire, over 60% living from the income that they get from the salary from the job and spend most of it to cover their daily expenses. So while we see our salaries increasing in value, which is great, we get those salary increases, at the same time, inflation is eating it up, rising costs in general. So life is getting so much more expensive and often outpaces the increase in salary. And that's why I think it's really important when we talk about this and why I generally think your 9-to-5 can actually be strongly holding you back from reaching that millionaire status. The second point is the lack of control. Because if you're in a company, most likely you're going to be executing somebody else's vision, which once again, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're aligned with the vision, you like where the company is going, that's amazing, right? But sometimes you come to a point where you said, your values are no longer aligned, or you have a different direction where the way you want to go, which is something that's slowly happening to me because I'm definitely seeing a way I want to go and how I execute things and how I see business building in the future. And that's why slowly I'm thinking I would like to start executing my own vision. And so you have to answer yourself that question. If you're super happy and aligned with the company where you're at, that's amazing and super cool. And I'm really happy for you. But in many cases, over time, those visions start to diverge. And then once again, if you're just an employee, you might raise your opinion, you might give a feedback, and sometimes the companies listen, but the larger the organization gets, it's very difficult to incorporate individual employees' opinions on the direction of the company. So that's something to keep in mind. If it's your own baby, even if it's your own one-person company, you and only you are responsible for creating the vision and executing against it. And I think that obviously bears a lot of responsibility, and for some people it can be quite fearful. At the same time, I think it's so liberating, and you can only blame yourself for the failures, but also be proud of yourself for your successes. The third point is that you're literally trading your time for money. Basically, you're being paid by the hour. Now, you might have a monthly salary, but ultimately still, if you break it down, you have a certain amount of hours that you need to work in a month, divided by the paycheck you get, it is an hourly rate. None of us can create more hours in a day. Time is finite. It's the same for every single one of us. Doesn't matter where you live in the world. Unfortunately, we can't really make more of it. Money, on the other hand, this is infinite. Well, we're seeing it with the Fed right now as they keep on printing the money away, which led to all the nice consequences of rising inflation and interest rates around the world, but that's a topic for another video. But what I'm trying to say is, you can only have so much time. And if you're paid by the hour, there's only so many hours you can work in a day. But if you start leveraging your time and start employing people that work for you and multiply the output, that's basically using the time to your advantage and create exponentially more money as a result of that. So I think that's really something to really think about. Not just that you hear it here in a video and say, yeah, that's a good point, but actually really genuinely think about, because eventually we're all going to disappear from this world unless Elon Musk really manages to reverse age us, which may or may not happen. But if it doesn't, we all have limited time on this beautiful earth. And in that time that we're here, that's really the question. Do you want to do a 9-to-5 for somebody else, or do you want to start creating and working on your own dream and mission in this world? The fourth point is a lack of ownership. Now, when you work for somebody else, some of the managers, they're really good and they incentivize you. They might pay you a quarterly or end of year bonus for a great performance. And that's nice, right? But generally, in most places, you don't really have ownership. It's not like if the company does exceptionally well and, doubles their profits, that you are doubling your earnings at the same time, right? That money of the extra earnings goes to the stakeholders and owners of the company. Now, some big companies, they might compensate you in shares in the company if the company happens to be publicly listed. So then it can be beneficial. But in most cases, for most people, there really isn't a big difference if you had a great month or a bad month. You might get a nice email from your boss or a bad email from your boss. But fundamentally, other than that, it doesn't really change much, right? Versus, once again, if it's your own company, if you had a bad quarter or bad year and you lost money, well, guess what? That comes out of your own pocket. That's painful. But, as I said before, money is infinite. If, on the other hand, and always start to think the opportunities rather than what could happen negatively, think positively, and if you work towards it and achieve the results, what you can achieve is just unbelievable, right? It can be so much more than any 13th or 14th salary that people tempt you with and want to keep you in the job, or they give you every year a 5 or 10% salary increase, which, once again, don't get me wrong, can be nice to have. But if you really want to level up and get to the next level, then definitely this only comes by having equity in the business. Now, you may not be the sole owner. You might share that with 2-3 other owners, or just have a stake in another company, right? I'm also a big advocate of working a 9-to-5, while at the same time, the savings that you make, rather than just investing into the S&P 500, maybe start investing into other companies to start building up equity in other companies, because that's how you really start building wealth and definitely grow your net worth over time and get to that millionaire status much faster than if you just clock away and work on your 9-to-5. And the fifth point is the illusion of job security. I think that's really the golden handcuffs that people always catch you with, and they say, well, if you have a job, you have job security, right? Sounds amazing. You have a job and you're guaranteed to have that monthly income. And while it's happening, it is kind of comforting to know. I mean, myself also, I know that at the end of the month, I'm going to get my paycheck no matter what. If the company had a tough time or not, most likely I'm going to get it. At least I got it for the last almost 14 years, and that was amazing, right? Nothing to worry about. Whatever happens, I know at the end of the month I'm getting my income. That's great. But at the same time, trust me, actually, this job security is an illusion, because ultimately, if the economy tanks and things go down, you will see how fast people actually get fired. So whenever you think you had your job and everything is good, guess what? 2008, 2009, 2020, 2021, a lot of companies didn't make any money, any profits, and of course, eventually they are businesses, right? They're here to operate and generate profits. So if that's no longer the case, what they have to do, reduce the payroll. That means get rid of people. Which, once again, if you have your own business, you might be in a position where you sadly might have to make such a call to sustain the longevity of your own business. Sometimes you have to let people go. It can be tough, and it's really one of the hard parts to do. I'm the head of my organization. In my life, I had to let a lot of people go, which is really tough. I never enjoyed the practice and it doesn't get easier. But if you're a company owner and you start having a team, it might come to that stage where you have to be in such a situation. But at the same time, you have ownership of your own business. And if you start putting money aside to survive in difficult times, you can really control the process and not be at the mercy of somebody else who may or may not keep you around, depending on performance, depending on how the company is going. So in my eyes, that's worth so much more than having to worry if I might still have my job next month or not. Your 9 to 5 might just be your frenemy that holds you back from being the next millionaire. Having said that, at the same time, as I said, there's nothing wrong with it. I believe it's a great thing to start using the 9 to 5 to level you up to that next level if your goal is to have your own business and reach that millionaire status eventually. Even though, to be honest, these days, being a millionaire is so much less than it was 20, 30 years ago, but I still think it's an aspiration for many of us to get there, and then obviously from there on, scale to the next level. And for myself, as I said, right now, I'm still on my 9 to 5 mostly, but I've been using my time to kind of start preparing myself. Next year will be a year of change for me, and I will start really building up my own business, and I will most certainly document it, take you along the journey, and I think it's really exciting times ahead. I'm really looking forward. And if you want to join me on the channel, then make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. Next up, check out this video over here. As always, guys, stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.